Hi. Wanted to talk to you today a little bit about value studies and the importance of having a value study before you even start to add color to your painting. This basically started when I started studying some of the past masters, the dead guys, Monet, Cézanne, Sicily, a number of them, and I will post at the bottom of this video blog some of the things that I'm going to talk about next so that you can actually see the difference in them. One of the things to understand value that you need to do is to remove all of the color from something, because color can be deceptive. If you take it down to black and white, you can start to see a value pattern even when you're outside painting plein air or in your studio or looking at photographs. One of the things that made Ansel Adams' work so strong is because of his understanding of value, and then naturally his compositions on top of that. But first was this value pattern that is so important to have in a great painting. One of the things that we use to do that, to study that, is a red square. So if I hold the red square up, you can see that the color has all gone out of this frame, and you see me mostly in black and white, and you can tell the different values just in this scene. And you can tell I use this with knot because it's got paint all over it. So you can get these online. There are a number of places that sell them. I have a number of these. I have one in my backpack, so when I go out plein air painting, this is with me, and I look at the scene and I determine the different value patterns that are there. So it's very important to understand value, and one of the ways of doing that is to take color out of it. One of the things that I typically do is I have a bunch of these art canvas panels, and what I do with those is I in my sketchbook, as well as with paint, figure out the value pattern that I want to use in a painting. This particular one was a still life that I was working on of red roses, and here you can see the interesting shapes. My darkest dark, there's other values with it, my lightest light area, and you can see all the different values that I have in this particular painting, or that I think I see in this particular painting. And then what I do is then I figure out the color part of that. So that is this painting. We went from this to this with color. And one of the things that I did that's really brought me to actually sitting down and figuring out my value plan was looking at some past masters. And what I did with them was take the images that were available out on the web, load them down to my hard drive. I would pull up a photo editor, Microsoft Photo Manager I believe is one, there's Photoshop Elements, there's Photoshop, there's a whole number of things. So take your photo editor and take out all of the color and just study the values that past masters have used. And I think it'll be very, very surprising to find out how little value they have in their paintings and how many of them use color to state what it is they want to state. We have a million colors that we can use, but we only have 10 values. Also hanging underneath my web or my easel back here, which I will rip off, is the actual value scale. So that reminds me that I have very limited values. I just hang that on the back of my easel. So I have very limited values that I can use, and that I should probably start to think about expressing something or catching something light on a particular thing with a color and temperature change rather than a value change. If you are painting from photographs, one of the things that you'll want to do is actually take the color out of that photograph and look at how many different values that photograph has, and then determine and simplify down to possibly 3 or 4 values, and then ask yourself the different colors that you saw when you were out there taking the photograph that you don't necessarily see in the photograph anymore. if you see something you like, that's why people like to paint plein air, is they see so much more than what the camera sees. If you are outside painting and you do take a picture of something, you may want to stop and actually just jot down on a piece of paper, this is the picture I took, and these are the colors that I was seeing. The bush was, this color of green, or, there was red, deep purplish red in the shadow side of the flower, and it was, hot pink in the light side of the flower. So that when you look at that in black and white, you'll have a guide to go with that photograph of what you were actually seeing. Edgar Payne actually did that. I believe I read it in his book that he was always had a sketch pad, and he would sketch out a plein air scene that he saw, and you would see arrows, with the colors, the basic local color in there of what he saw out there, and why he made the sketch, what it was that caught his eye. So again, anytime that you can do that, it will certainly help you when you're in your studio painting again. But the biggest thing that everyone needs to understand is the value, and creating value studies to create strong compositions, to create interesting shapes. Doing something very simple like this may even get you to resolve it a little bit more before you go on and actually make the painting. So it adds just a little bit more interest. So study those values, study the masters, and make sure that when you do make a value change, that is exactly what you want it to do, and not that you maybe just want it to change the color within that same value area. So that's the tip for value studies today. Thank you.